everybody, welcome back to Mount MoGraph. As always, my name's Matt. In today's video, we have Summit 61 2D, 3D objects, I think I'm going to call this, in Adobe After Effects using Cinema 4D Lite, which ships with Adobe After Effects Creative Cloud. Super easy to do, and it's a really fun tutorial or lesson that I think you can hopefully incorporate some of the techniques and whatnot into your own projects and get some cool looking stuff. So this is starting to get pretty popular. It's like this whole flat looking 3D, 2D object. And as you can see here, we have a little example, pretty fantastic. And then here's another one I actually made a little while ago. Really, literally the same thing, just different colors and some different stuff. So we're going to go ahead and just see the whole process of it. There's some cool little tips along the way on how to set this up, but it can totally turn out pretty cool. And it's pretty easy to change and do extra stuff with. So anyway, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I'm going to go and create a new project here. And we're going to go with the classic size composition, 1920 by 1080. Looks like I will be doing 8 seconds long. So right off the bat here, let's just right click in our project manager and go down to new Maxon Cinema 4D file. Save this to your desktop as whatever you want. I'm going to call it computer fantastic. So I always know where to find it. And mine's going to open up in Cinema 4D Lite R16, which ships with Adobe Creative Cloud. You can also use like Studio or anything else if you have a real version of Cinema 4D. But it's surprisingly robust for what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and just start by creating the computer monitor by clicking the cube up here and just grabbing these little orange sliders here into something relatively monitor sized, and I'm actually going to do the 1920 by, I'll do 1280 actually, and this is just to get a relatively good size, and then I'll scale it down a little bit. It really doesn't matter too much what everything is looking like. And then I'm going to go and just turn the Z size up a little bit, add a little fillet, whatever the heck you want to pronounce that word as, on the edges here, and maybe turn the radius down to 4, and the divisions I'll turn up to 6. And wow, look at that, we have a wonderful start of a computer monitor. So that is the first step. Let's go ahead and name this. I'm just going to call this computer to monitor base, I guess. Seems pretty appropriate. And then the next step is grab your primitives and grab a cylinder. We're going to rotate this cylinder a wonderful 90 degrees. So it's just like this, which looks great. And just move it down with the move tool, pressing E on your keyboard. And then you want to position this and then scale it down with T or the scale tool, just like this. And position it roughly where like a power button or the Apple like iMac symbol is. I'm going to kind of use the iMac that's sitting in front of me as a reference. So then just move it back so it's sitting relatively flush with the monitor, just like this. And we are well on our way to creating this fantastic animation. So I'm going to go and name this cylinder into like power button, I guess. I'm going to hold command and duplicate the power button, and I'm going to call this one back power symbol. Starting to get creative with the names. This is not a good sign. So if I go in the back here and just scale this up a touch, and also try to make this relatively flush with the object, maybe scaling up the radius or the diameter, I guess, a little bit on the outside, that's looking pretty good. And well, we're honestly almost done with the build. It's pretty straightforward. So let's actually go ahead and duplicate the computer monitor base, holding command again, and I'm going to call this the monitor screen, I suppose. And what we're going to do with this one is once again set our X and Y properties to 1920 by 1080, and then just scale this down appropriately, just so we have a nice normal sized composition for the stuff we're going to be putting in this monitor. So I'm going to just try to make this as flush as I can. Switching the view if I have to here. F2 on your keyboard to go into the top view. So we have a nice almost TV looking screen deal going on here. And then let's jump into our side view, pressing F3 on the keyboard, or this little guy up here, and go into your filter and turn on the grid, and then we'll turn on snapping, this little magnet icon over here. Turn on enable snap, and also work plane snap and grid point snap. And then we're going to go and grab the Bezier spline tool and just click I don't know, a couple times. We're going to try to make something that looks like a base. I just made the worst shape. Looks like a base to this monitor. So maybe something like that, pretty squiggly and cool. And we just turned on this enable snap, so it actually snaps the grid when you move these grid points, just like this. Pretty cool. Nice way to keep your stuff nice and geometric, or relatively geometric anyway. Even. Let's go with even. It's not really geometric. So anyway, go back into your side view and we have this awesome little base for our monitor sitting there. And we'll go into our spline tool and grab the rectangle spline, and we'll turn the size down quite a bit because 400 by 400 is massive. So let's go with 3 by 20. And it's actually sitting like right inside of our monitor. I'll pull it out here, and it's this little white guy sitting right in there. So let's turn off the grid because it's getting in the way again. So I'll turn off the grid with that. And then all we're going to do is go up into our sweep, I believe, this little guy right here. Drop our spline in first and drop our rectangle in second. And check that out. We now have a wonderful sweep of those two shapes. And on the rectangle, let's go and change our height so it's actually wider, and maybe turn our width up to 5. So we have that awesome looking base. We'll adjust it so it looks better, and then just turn on rounding. So we have these wonderful little rounded edges, real Mac-like and Apple. Make Steve Jobs happy. So this is all looking pretty solid. Let's go ahead and add that little cutout in the back. So what I'm going to do is name this sweep into computer base, and then we'll go and grab the back power symbol and just hold command and drag this out to duplicate it. Move this backwards. Rotate it a little bit. Doesn't matter what you want to rotate it to. And then we'll kind of scale this up a little bit. You can grab these little orange symbols, which is helpful. And then we're just going to position this somewhere in like intersecting this little back part, and that looks fine to me. It doesn't really matter for right now. And then we're going to go and grab a bool tool, I can't even speak, right up here. And we're going to drop both our computer base in first, and then minimize that, and then drop our back power symbol 1, the one we just duplicated, which I'm going to actually call cutout. I'm going to drop that in second, and then I should probably start making sure these are organized better. So I'll drop the cutout in and put this below the computer base. Sorry if that's getting confusing here. And we're actually going to get a nice little cut just like this. And then on the bool, let's go and click create single object just so it's nice and easy, and then hide new edges just in case. So this is looking cool. We have that nice little cut. Let's go ahead and name this just as base build. And then we're going to go into our deformers and grab the taper deformer. And with this one, let's just go and position it so it's roughly around the base build that we just made. So actually mine miraculously fits pretty well. And then all we're going to do is grab our base build and our taper, press Alt-G to group them, and we're going to call this base tapered because that is very creative. So toggle down, grab our taper, and we're going to turn the strength up just a bit so it actually kind of squashes into this wonderful Mac shape like that. So as you can see, we go from 0 all the way up to hero at 41%. So that looks pretty good. I even went up to 45%. So like I said, this is cruising right along. We are just about to the cool stuff. So we have our computer build generally done. Let's go and jump into our side view, F3 on the keyboard, or this little guy up here. And first we're going to hide our deformer. So double click this little traffic signal at the top one, so it turns red. And then on your all these other options right down here, let's group those two. So grab them, press Alt-G for a null, and I'm going to call this computer top, I guess. I can't really think right now. So we'll press L for the enable axis modification tool, or this little guy right over here, the symbol. And then just move this down so it is, I don't know, kind of near the bottom portion of the monitor where it would normally bend. So that looks good for me. I'll press L and then make sure that's unselected, and then just move this up so it's I don't know, it looks normal. And then I'll just press R for rotation and tilt it back a little bit so Jay-Z could use this computer with the lean back effect. Worst joke of the day, for sure, by far. So let's grab our back symbol and just try to make this a little bit more flush with everything. Just honestly have it sticking out just the smallest little bit because we kind of want that flat look. So there we go. We kind of are starting to get a nice little computer monitor together. Let's go and add the colors, which is part of what makes this animation really cool. So if you double click in your create or your material manager, we are going to go and turn off our color and our reflectance. And let's go ahead and turn on our luminance. So pick any color you want. I will go with bright neon green. It's a paint your own computer day. And then I'll hold command and drag that out. Holding command is like the universal copy in Cinema 4D, so for pretty much everything. So I'll grab this guy and I'm going to make this one into a snazzy purple. So something like that, and let's do maybe one more color. So I'll just hold command, click in there, and on this one, let's actually go to our luminance, and on the texture, go down to gradient, and click this little icon here, and go to type, and switch it to 2DV for vertical. Toggle down this tiny little black arrow here, and go to interpolation, and set it to none, and then we'll just drag this this guy back here, and what we're going to do is create a nice little two-tone effect here. So if you click this black button, let's go and pick some other colors. So I'm going to go with forest green and a very non-matte color like red for Christmas. So drop that linear gradient that we just made onto the computer top. Actually, that was a lie. Drop it onto the computer monitor base. And as you can see, we're getting a two-tone effect. So I'm going to grab this screen and actually just lift it up a little bit and kind of cheat on that. And then in the gradient, I'm just going to move the red down a little bit until it fits a little bit better with the design. So that's looking pretty cool. Let's go ahead and add some more colors to this and really get this this guy moving. So for these power buttons, let's go ahead and make these bright purple because that's something I've always wanted. So hold command on the material and just drag this to the power button. Got those awesome purple monitors. And then I will just make the base, I suppose, green. So wow, what a computer. I'd buy about 9 of those. And then for the screen, let's go ahead and just create another material and turn off the reflectance and color and just keep this nice black and put this on the monitor screen. So when I do Command R, you're going to see we have this nice little effect coming together and it's looking cool. So let's go and create a camera so we can get this animation rolling. Grab both these guys here and do Alt-G, our classic null object, and we're going to call this Computer Complete, just like some awesome band name. Feel free to take that if you are in the mood for a band name. And let's create a camera. So just like that, and then we're going to click into our camera and let's go actually into our render settings right now and change our width and height of this to 1920 by 1080. So we're actually working with a composition size that we can use. So I will go ahead and click into the camera here and go to the coordinates and just zero out the X and the Y and also the Z, I suppose, and then I guess every property, just zero out everything, and then we'll just pull back on the Z. And in theory, your computer should be in the dead middle of your screen. So I'm happy with that position. I'm going to right click my camera and go down to protection, which is going to add a lock on this so we actually can't move the camera, which is good for what the next step is going to be. So let's go ahead and make our timeline a little bit longer. I'm going to make it 6 seconds long and I'll just drag this little arrow out and then click my Computer Complete band name layer. Go to about 15 frames and click this little icon here for keyframe and go forward to, let's call it 3.733 seconds, and I will press R for the keyboard or for the rotation tool and then just rotate this holding shift to 360 degrees so it's a full rotation and click another keyframe. So now when I play this, we're going to have a nice animation happening of this computer screen, which is great. So let's go ahead and jump to the stuff that can get a little confusing, but it's totally cool when you get it figured out. So I'm going to go and create a new null object, and I'm going to call this one actually content. And this is very important. So grab your content and put it as a child of your monitor screen. And then in your content, what you're going to want to do is zero out all the properties once again, except for the scale, that'd be at 1. And that is great. So now it's, if you have any other version other than Lite of Cinema 4D, you're going to be able to use a PSR reset or update, which is much easier, but for us, we'll zero out those properties. So right click your content, go to Cinema 4D tags, and go down to external compositing, this option here. We're going to click solid and we're going to make the size 1920 by, you guessed it, 1080, and that is all set to go. And then for our monitor screen, we're going to right click that, Cinema 4D tags, and actually click regular compositing. And we're going to go to an object buffer and turn on enable object buffer 1. That's fantastic. So we are basically set up for this animation. The magic really happens in the render settings. So in your render settings, you're going to want to go to this multipass option, and first you're going to want to click on, and then you're going to want to right click that and go down to object buffer and make sure it corresponds to object buffer group ID 1. And we are all set, so I'm going to do Command S on here to save that, and then I'll go back into After Effects. And I like to always press reload on this computer Cinema 4D thing I made. So I'm going to do reload footage just to make sure it's there and just drag it into my comp 1. So just like that, there our animation is. It's in a software renderer, so it's not like a final look right now. It's just kind of a preview. But as you can see, if I click through here, we're actually going to have a pretty cool looking animation already. So let's jump into the magical stuff. And what we're going to do is click Cinema 4D Scene Data, just click Extract, and it's actually going to pull out our camera and our content null, which is going to be the important thing. So press S on your content, and you're going to see it has a ton of keyframes on the scale. We actually don't need any of them, so click the stopwatch to remove all of them, and then just scale this down until it's the same size as that black spot we had there. So I'm going to right click, or I'm going to grab the content here and do Shift Command C to pre-compose this layer and say leave all attributes in comp 1, and I'm going to call this content of screen. And that should be good. So let's go ahead and actually duplicate our Computer Fantastic Cinema 4D thing. Command D on your keyboard, drag it above your content of screen, and then this is where the cool thing is going to happen. So if you click Multipass Linear Workflow, you're going to first want to change your renderer to standard final, and then you're going to want to click Cinema 4D Multipass and set Multipass. You're going to go down to Object Buffer and click OK, and it's going to turn black and white just like this of your content of screen. Change your track matte down to Illuma matte, and we now can see our wonderful red content. So all you're going to have to do is name this project as something you want, and then just click into your content of screen, and from there you can delete your content and really put any kind of animation you want in here. So I'm going to go and make a nice blue I guess object that's not the right size, and then maybe add some text of did this work, because I would really like to know. So let's go ahead and use that, and let's see if this works. So if I go back into comp 1, we now see our computer monitor screen has the text that we just added rotating on this 3D object, which is super cool. So just like that, you're able to take this nice flat 2D 3D object and put it into After Effects, and when you render this out, it's going to look awesome. So that was today's Summit 61. If you liked it, leave a comment, drop a like, anything at all. Thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you had fun. Peace out. I'll talk to you soon.